What is a fun fact that is mildly disturbing? Dolphins can and will pick stuff up and move it around using their peepees. Dolphins are the Florida man of the ocean. There was a scientist hired by NASA in the 60s or something that was trying to teach a dolphin to speak. It's a really fascinating story of a time when government departments could spend money on things like trying to get a dolphin to speak. They learned a lot, but nobody really remembers anything about that. Anything anyone wants to talk about is how the researcher definitely jacked off the dolphin and definitely might have fed the dolphin. They also assault people. And are known to push people out to sea about as much as they push them ashore. They also get high off sea urchins and puffer fish. They pass it around like a bong. In medieval times, diabetes was known as the honey sickness, and to test for it a physician would have to taste your urine. There's a condition in which people become blind, but deny their blindness. The brain creates false perceptions to fill in for the lack of sight. It's called the Anton syndrome. So can they still see? Or do they only think they can see and it's just a hallucination? They're not denying being blind. The brain just fills in holes. My mom has this. So for example, she will be walking down the hallway and the brain will just repeat the hallway instead of a doorway she can't see because of a hole in her vision. So when she sees the doorway as it actually comes into her line of sight, she usually runs into the door because the brain was filling in spots that weren't the door to make up for her lost vision. A lion's tongue is so rough it can lick your skin off. I learned this valuable piece of information from a toy in a Arby's kids meal when I was younger. On a related note, in medieval times a form of torture involved a goat licking the sole of your feet. Their tongue is rough enough that it can slowly lick off your skin. And the salt used to encourage the goat to lick them, only make pain worse. When you're cremated, your teeth explode from the heat. Forbidden popcorn. If Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin got stuck on the moon, the official policy was to cut communication and let them suffocate in silence. Nixon even had a speech prepared in case this happened. They were too at risk to qualify for life insurance. So they autographed memorabilia beforehand that their family could sell if they couldn't return. P.S. They also had to pass through customs when they returned. It isn't your sweat that smells. It comes from bacteria living on your body, essentially shitting stuff out after they feast on your secretions. Tumors can grow teeth, hair, eyes and miniature versions of organs. I believe they are called children. Woodpecker's tongue wraps all the way around his skull. Interestingly, this effectively makes a woodpecker immune to concussions. So whack 'em in the head to your heart's content. The sea cucumber will disembowel itself when it feels threatened. It will projectile vomit its digestive system to scare off a predator. There are over 200 corpses on Mount Everest and they are used as waypoints for climbers. I just watched a Bear Grylls interview for Vanity Fair where he goes over 10 survival scenes in movies or shows, and one of the last ones is a movie about a guy who dies on Everest and he gets choked up cause he climbed Everest and has seen the guy who's featured in the film. The body is perfectly preserved and he's like 20 yards from the top and everyone passes him. It's cheaper to print with human blood instead of printer ink. Meerkats are adorable creatures. They even started in a show called Meerkat Manor. But they are, by far, the most murderous species of any animal. Killing more of their own species with greater frequency than any other animal. Butterflies engage in a behavior called mud puddling where they seek out puddles of moisture to drink for nutrients. If a puddle of blood is the closest thing, they will puddle in it and proceed to drink the blood for its nutrients. Butterflies are vampires confirmed. If you have a boob job, the database for implants is so well kept and readily available across the country that they can identify your body based on the serial number of your implants. D. Everyone has Demodex, or eyelash mites, living in their eyelashes. They are microscopic and typically do not cause any issues. People may get skin problems if their Demodex population gets out of control. But that can be avoided with proper hygiene. They feed on dead skin cells. But they've apparently also started taking a liking to mascara. Your skeleton is wet. I felt sticky after reading this. Bunnies actually have the ability to scream. But they will only scream if they feel they are about to die. Not necessarily. My roommate's old bunny would scream to get his attention. A horrible blood-curdling scream. But he learned that when he made that sound, my roommate would come running to check on him. When I first got my bunny, she screamed in the middle of the night and woke up the whole family. None of us four figure out who had screamed, but we were all convinced someone was injured. She screamed again and we all thought someone had broken into the house or something because it was so human. She never did it again, and thank the Lord for that, because it was terrifying. Humans produce enough saliva in their lifetime to fill 2 swimming pools. Cannibalism is pretty damn common in hamsters. As I understand it, only in pet hamsters. In the wild they behave dramatically differently. Maybe something to do with every pet hamster descending from a single brother-sister pair. Domesticated Syrian golden hamsters almost didn't exist. When Israel Aharoni captured in first litter of hamsters from the wild near Aleppo in 1930. Captivity drove the captured mother hamster crazy and she started eating her own young. Aharoni immediately killed her, and literally every lab and pet hamster in the world is descended from the 3 survivors left from that litter. Brain aneurysms have little to no warning, headache, and are only diagnosable by CT scan. Roughly 1 in 50 people in the US have an unruptured brain aneurysm right now that could rupture at any time. A quarter of BA cases were misdiagnosed and 75% of those were no CT scans ordered by the doctor. Enjoy your next headache. The part about walking with an uninterrupted brain aneurysm is true. But they are still pretty dang rare. And technology is advancing is better understand and treat them. Also, you can live your entire life with an unruptured brain aneurysm and be fine. As long as it doesn't pop. You're good. Controlling your blood pressure, healthy diet, and exercise will help prevent that. The commonly cited fact we eat 8 spiders in our sleep a year, on average, was made up to prove a point about people passing on unconfirmed facts without trying to confirm them. This is mildly disturbing because we do not know how many spiders we are actually consuming in our sleep. When you breathe through your nose, almost all of the air goes through only one of your nostrils. The nostrils trade back and forth over time. Mother Sicilians amphibian feed their babies with their own skin. Their babies have specialized temporary teeth that they use to peel off layers of their mother's skin. The skin grows back and the young feed some more. For up to 3 months. Snow White is 14 years old. And Walt Disney instructed animators to make her look old enough to marry. The Romans used crushed mouse brains as toothpaste. Certain psychological research suggests that couples are happiest before their kids are born and after they leave home. Octopuses have what is called decentralized intelligence, which essentially means that their limbs have their own intelligence. For example, if a severed human limb touches acid or fire or anything, that would cause pain. Nothing would happen, however, if an octopus limb touches acid or fire. It would recoil and avoid it, even if it's been severed and is no longer attached to the octopus. The board game Monopoly was created to teach people the dangers of unregulated capitalism. Correct. To expand on this, the original game called the Landlord's Game had 2 modes of playing, the capitalist version we all play and a Georgist version where undeveloped land was taxed and the public services were nationalized. The intent was that the losing parties would vote for the Georgist mode. What the author didn't foresee is how fun it is to destroy everyone and be the absolute winner. As a last note, all the Parker brother did to sell the game was scraping the Georgist mode. The fact the players get money when they pass go is a remnant of the old version. since it's supposed to represent the idea of universal basic income. Pork only became popular in Spain during the Spanish Inquisition, and thus throughout South America, because during the Inquisition it was a common way people could prove they weren't Jewish or Islamic. The reason why pork is considered off limits in Middle Eastern countries is because wild boars had a nasty habit of digging up human graves and eating the contents. So if you ate pig boar, you had a chance of eating human remains 1 degree off. Have heard a person is something like 30 trillion human cells and 40 trillion bacteria. So you're something of a minority of your own self. You are nothing but a sentient spaceship sent out to mine the universe for sugars. There was something in the 1960s called Project Acoustic Kitty, where basically the CIA wanted to put microphones and transmitters inside of cats and use them to spy on the Soviets. It cost about $20 million and was a huge failure, with the first cat supposedly getting hit by a car and killed immediately after being released. Even though it failed, the thought of my own pet being used by the government to spy on me is pretty unsettling. Owl wing feathers are unique in having comb-like leading, front edges that change the way air moves over the surface and allows for incredibly silent flight. This is why owls are able to fly right at you or prey without the telltale whoosh noise that you would hear if something like a hawk did the same. The rescue dogs from Ground Zero on 9/11 developed PTSD and needed therapy afterwards because there were so few survivors and so many dead recovered that they thought they'd screwed everything up and done a bad job. And then firemen and cops started hiding so dogs would find survivors and feel like they did a good job. There is a chance that a dinosaur peed out the water you drink. There is a clinical condition called body integrity identity disorder, big-eyed, where you only feel complete and healthy as a human if one of your limbs is amputated.